The next piece that we will look at is literacy. What is literacy? Literacy is at the heart of basic education and is essential for many reasons. Number one, it eradicates poverty. If you're educated, if you're literate, the chances of you getting a better job with a better salary is much higher than if you were not. It helps in reducing child mortality rate. That is, young children will be able to survive through education because obviously good education requires good food, good nutrition, sleep, exercise, and all the other health-related issues will also be addressed as children are receiving an education. It ensures sustainable development, peace, and democracy. These issues we will look at in more detail as the course progresses, but it is enough at this point to understand that a literate population is a better contributing population to the growth, development, and sustainability of a nation. In the Pakistan Social and Living Standards Measurements surveys, literacy is defined as the ability to read a newspaper and write a simple letter. Now, this simply means reading a newspaper, writing a letter in Urdu, in the mother tongue. This does not in any way have to do with doing it in English. Literacy has nothing to do with a foreign language. If our students can read an Urdu newspaper and can write a simple letter in Urdu, they should be considered literate. And then we, the government, will have to take steps to make sure that we can provide them quality education in the mother tongue at all levels. So if we look at the table for literacy, we see in the different provinces over a 2-year span of time, we see how the literacy rates seem to be much lower for the females and much higher for the males. Obviously, if young girls never make it to school, the chances of them being literate are zero. So if we want a literate female population, if we want literate, even semi-primary educated mothers in the future, our young girls will have to hit schools today. According to Table 8, literacy rates for girls and women are consistently lower. And for 2 years, we've seen that. If we made a comparison for further years beyond the 2-year period, or even for some years before the 2-year period that we looked at, I'm sure the numbers would still be the same overall for Pakistan. Maybe a province or two may be doing better than other provinces, but across the country, it is the girls that tend to continue to be at a disadvantage. Literacy and expenditure and literacy rate. What is that? If we compare our SAARC nations or our neighboring nations, we see that Pakistan is at a 54% literacy rate, compared to Iran, which is another neighboring Muslim country, at 84%, with Sri Lanka at 91%, the Maldives 97%, which is another Muslim country, India at 65%, Nepal at 55%, and Bangladesh at 52%. So with only Nepal and Bangladesh behind us, it's not a very happy figure. So what does one do? How do we, like Iran and Maldives, which are Muslim countries in the same region more or less, how do we get our literacy rates up? And the answer is simple. Send the girls to school and do whatever it takes to keep them in school. If girls go to school and drop out, it makes no difference, and it will make no difference. When girls get to school, they should finish the primary education, hopefully then continue on with secondary, higher secondary, and even tertiary education. Pakistan has one of the highest rates of illiteracy in the world. With 54% literate population, we've got 46% illiterate population. And literacy only is, as we defined it earlier, the ability to read a newspaper and write a simple letter. Literacy is not understanding literature and poetry and all the wonderful things that education allows young people to do. Are our students, particularly our girls, at an unfair disadvantage? Because when parents are not willing to send them to school, when the government and even the private sector does not step in to help and alleviate this issue, and the only way this can be helped and alleviated is by providing schools, even 1-2-room schools, close to the homes where most of your female populations are, particularly in the rural areas. Urban areas tend to have an advantage because, yes, there is better infrastructure, there is better transportation, parents seem to be educated, and when you look around in the urban areas, you find more people going to school, so parents want their children also to go to school, and therefore the urban population tends to be better off sending their young girls to school than the rural population. Although Pakistan has a higher Human Development Index, the rate at which development happens in the human capacity ranking, than Nepal and Bangladesh, compared to these countries and others in the South and West Asia region, Pakistan has the lowest net enrollment rates for both boys and girls. Because even when boys get to school, keeping them, as I said, getting in is not the important thing. The important thing is continuing and finishing. If you got in primary education in grade 1, did you make it through grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or did you drop out in grade 3 or drop out in grade 4, or at some point you dropped out? So even the fact that our boys don't hang on in schools is not a good sign. More so, if we want boys and girls to remain in school, we will have to learn to do things differently in our classrooms.